Hello, folks. Welcome to Our City Matters. Today we have an important guest, a.k.a. Mom at Large. That's Patrice Benard. And she's been on with us before, talking about Manchester academic standards and so forth. But today we are going to have some topic about screen time, computer screen time in the schools, the length of computer screen time that the children are having, and as well as home, because they all both go together, and homework. How homework is looking these days in second grade, anyway.
In second grade, right.
So welcome, Patrice.
Well, thank you, Deb. Thanks for having me back. I like the new logo, the new music, and it's good to be with you. It's been a long time. So this summer, my husband was ill, and he decided that we weren't sure how long he was going to be sick and how long it would take him to recover, so he said, puts the youngest back into public school. Can't be that bad. It's only second grade. You can always supplement at home. So we did. And someone asked me, well, if you don't like it, why is he there? I said, ammunition. Folks, you can't mess with the real thing. When you see for yourself what is coming home from school, now I can tell you, I have proof of what Common Core is doing in our classrooms. And it just doesn't get any better than that.
So you did it out of necessity.
We did it out of necessity, family necessity, and I'm not saying that he's going to stay there. I think we'll finish this year because I believe in teaching children to finish what you start. And as long as they keep him safe, it's okay for him to be there. We're two months into the school year, and he hasn't learned a whole lot academically, but he's safe. And in the meantime, I can run around and take care of the family and friends that are elderly or need doctor's appointments, need help at home. So
And your husband.
and take care of my husband, and thankfully he's back to work, and take care of the house. But with 3 children in 3 different schools now, boy, homeschooling was so much easier.
Yeah, huh?
It really was. You didn't have to fight battles
Right.
on 3 different fronts, but
Right, well,
we're dealing with it.
I noticed your public comment period time at the school board meeting a couple months ago. I think it was September.
Probably.
And it was about your concern for the screen time.
Correct.
And for the kids' homework in second grade. John, if you could play that clip, that'll be good.
2 of my children, 2 of my 4, for physicals before the school year began. The pediatrician said that the American Academy of Pediatricians recommends no more than 2 hours of screen time total each day for a child up to the age of 18. You guys are the policymakers. Could you please set forth a policy about screen time? That's video screen, whether it's up on the wall, whether it's a laptop or a tablet that they're using in class, whether it's a computer desktop or testing. We parents, if we're going to regulate our children's screen time, I need to know how much is going on at the school so that I can decrease my son's screen time at home. And I'd ask you not to take up too much of that because he does like some video games, and that's a reward. So I'd ask you to look at a policy on screen time. Also, my son is in second grade this year at Green Acres, so that I can learn what a Common Core classroom looks like. This is the homework I got today. It's my vocabulary cards for math. Do you know what doubles is? Or near doubles? They want him to learn 12 different vocabulary words for math. Now, homework usually is 10 minutes per grade, so for second grade, he should be doing about 20 minutes worth of homework.
30 seconds.
I'm not going to spend any time on this. I'd rather spend time on flashcards. As for the weekly reading homework log that I got today, he's supposed to define whether he's read a narrative, an information text, or poetry. Well, you know what? That's not what he's reading. He's reading Spider-Man comic books, and he's reading the McGuffey's Reader.
3 minutes.
Not sure where that fits in, so I'll just write my own log. I think it's really important we keep track of what's going on in the classroom, and I think it's all really important that you know what you're doing and how your policies affect the students in the classroom. Thank you.
Oh, great.
I never watch myself. That's frightening.
No.
It's okay. But I'm a mom, so why not? So,
We appreciate you going to those school board meetings.
wow. So let's start with screen time. I did some further research. The American Academy of Pediatrics does realize that more and more technology is being used. So they have modified it up somewhat and said that 2 hours of recreational screen time should be max, to include television. So if they're watching a TV show or a movie or a computer or a laptop. The problem is, in our libraries, we have all these little, they're called notebooks, I guess. They're not really a laptop, and they're not a tablet. They're a teeny tiny, not a full-size keyboard even, notebook for our kids to use. They take their Smart Balance tests on it. They practice they have these websites they'd like the kids to go to. One of them is called Extra Math. I have the paper and the PIN number. Haven't used it yet, don't worry. I figure flashcards are better. But there are websites the school encourages the children to go to. I went to the PTG meeting. Now that I'm back in the school, I've gone to the PTG meetings because parents have to be involved. So I went to the PTG meeting, and what do I see? We're sitting in a library. Half of the library is filled with wonderful books, even some really good books. Yes, Captain Underpants is there, but he doesn't belong there. But some kids like him, so they have Captain Underpants. They also have Harry Potter. They have the Dr. Seuss books. The problem is, while the parents were at a 1-hour meeting, their children were sitting to the right on the computers, playing educational video games. What have we lost? And I looked at the principal at the last meeting and I said, am I the only one that's bothered that we're sitting in a library and the children are in front of a computer screen instead of curled up with a good book? Deb, what is happening to our children? They are losing the childhood that we all knew. They no longer go out onto the prairie with Laura Ingalls Wilder. They may not even be going into the secret garden with Frances Hodgson Burnett. They're not reading Thornton W. Burgess and learning about the animals at Laughing Brook. I think our children are losing a huge part of their childhood to a screen. And I think that's a problem. I see that when given a choice, children choose a screen instead of a book. And that's not okay with me.
Well, because the screens are animated, and the screens talk back to them. Or it might be interactive sometimes, or there's enticements.
What is the educational value? Have you ever seen a study that shows you that any computer program or any website is guaranteed to raise your child's test scores 2 points or more? Because I've seen research that shows that by increasing the child's reading 15 minutes every day, it will increase their test scores by 2 points or more. And that was published by the Missouri NEA. Mm-hmm. There is no data on these websites. There is no research-driven or best practices proof that these work. It's just easier because if the computer's teaching, the teacher is doing what? What is the teacher doing? I don't know.
Think you want to sit in the classroom and observe?
Well, I have
You haven't
asked,
gone
and
there?
I will be going there, but I also have a son at the charter school at Founders Academy, and they require a fingerprint scan and a criminal background, FBI criminal background check. So I paid the money to go get that done so that I can be a substitute teacher or volunteer at the Founders Academy, and I won't go into Green Acres until I also have that letter in my hand showing that I'm not Lizzie Borden or haven't killed anyone lately. They didn't ask me about my thoughts and who I'd like to strangle, but I think it's for the safety of our children, we should be doing and requiring background checks. Mind you, this was at my expense, and I don't mind paying for it. I think that parents who want to volunteer should at least bear some burden of this. Some of the expense, the district could help those that wanted to be in the schools but maybe couldn't afford it. So I haven't been in there yet. I do plan on going and spending an entire day in second grade. Not top on my bucket list, I'll tell you. I have no desire to go back to second grade or 12th grade, let me tell you. But we don't know what's going on in the classroom. We don't know how many minutes they're spending on computers. Each classroom has a big, huge flat screen. And teachers are putting up videos for wiggle, wiggle, clap, clap, stomp, stomp, and let's count by fives and tens. And
We'll get to that at the end of the show, towards the end.
so we don't know what's going on with the computer screen time. And I think the parents at least have the right to know how much so that we can then regulate it at home.
Right, generally speaking, out of a 6-hour day at school, how much screen time are they getting?
If they're at the special in the library and they're working on the computers, it's 48 minutes per period. So it could be up to 45 minutes a day, which means that only leaves an hour and 15 minutes at home. You can't watch a Disney movie in that time.
You'd have to ask the teacher. The teacher should be able to give you an approximation.
Oh, you're asking for communication. How silly of you. The teachers don't have time to do that.
So you can't send her an email?
Well, they don't have time. Why should we have to constantly ask? Why aren't the teachers communicating to the parents? The teachers are hiding in their classrooms. They're hiding behind their administrators. They're hiding behind their master's degrees. And they're not communicating with parents. And that is a huge problem. Ben Dick complained about it with the teachers and the administrators. Hey, the parents and the teachers have a communication problem too. But maybe it starts at the top. Maybe if administrators communicate to teachers, maybe teachers will learn to communicate to parents.
Well, make a list of the things you want to know.
Yes,
Okay.
there's a long list.
All right, so there's screen time. It's recommended certain amount by the
2 hours.
Academy of Pediatrics, and that's important.
And it's on the website. You can find it anywhere. Just Google it on the web.
It should not be neglected for their child's health
I don't think so.
for different reasons. Okay, so the homework,
Homework.
second grade homework, you started to
Well-
tell us about.
Math homework, we have a brand new math program this year. So we get 3 or 4 pages, both sides of the page. Oh, this one was 5 pages, where we have math homework.
Is that just being pulled out of a workbook? Like
You're right.
the
I
pages
believe
ripped
these are
out?
consumable textbooks so the kids are doing their part, and then this comes out with
The
homework
workbook.
for the parents.
Oh, okay.
So we have to do. I know if Anne Marie is watching this, she's just going to die.
Emery Banfield, that is.
Yes.
Education liaison at Cornerstone Action.
Right. So don't learn your math facts. Just use dots and squares. And instead of learning that 8 plus 6 equals 14, make 10 to help you add. So make the process harder. Find out 8 plus what or 6 plus what equals 10. And then don't forget what you have left over, and then have another step and add 10 plus something. How about just memorizing 8 plus 6 equals 14?
I mean, there's a time in kindergarten, whatever, to use the blocks to say, or the apples, or whatever you have to say, okay, here's 2, and then there's 2 more over here, and together they make 4. But to go on in second grade, third grade, fourth grade.
Well, you'll see here, it says they want them to make 10 to add. Well,
So it's base 10.
my husband, or not my husband, my son, who looks just like my husband, thank God, we just drew arrows up to where they were supposed to be. And so I showed him the concept, and he said, Mom, hush. And then he wrote down the answer, 11. He's counting on his fingers. I don't care. He got the right answer. Is it really that big of a deal?
My question is it sort of like using an abacus? I had that curiosity. One day I heard a person talking about the abacus, and they think in terms of the abacus, using abacus, even though they don't have it in front of them.
If
they
you were
think in
raised with
terms-
an abacus,
Yeah.
it might be. My son hasn't been raised with one. I never pulled that out. It's in the toy box down
That's
cellar.
something we have to look into.
Yeah. They want, and then they did something where they want test practice. Don't worry, we always have to practice for our standardized tests.
Oh,
So
built in.
Yes, built into every homework packet. Which addition sentence can help you find the sum for 8 plus 7? Would you use 5 plus 7 equals 12, 10 plus 8 equals 18, 10 plus 5 equals 15, 10 plus 7 equals 17? Do you notice they're getting the kids away from memorizing math facts? And so I had to write a note to the teacher that Stephen prefers to not make 10 and to just add. He has that freedom to choose. Thank you, signed Mom. I just can't see forcing my son to do something when he's already got a way to make it work. Why don't we just let him use what works? So there's one instance where they gave, look at all this wasted white space. I want to tell you, our textbooks would be much cheaper if we had textbooks that were simply black, white, and numbers, because all this white space costs paper. Our textbooks could probably be half the size and half the price and half the weight if we didn't waste so much paper. But we have to make it colorful. That also adds cost to the textbook. So he got frustrated, and so I rewrote the numbers, and I just wrote the word problems. And I wrote them out myself without all the pictures and everything and let him answer them. Why are we trying to confuse our children? And he did fine when he did that way. But there are so many word problems in second grade, and he said, when are we going to get to the numbers? It took forever to actually get to numbers. We were quite frustrated. I don't know if I have it in this packet, but the last, oh yes, here's one of my favorite, the vocabulary cards. Because instead of doing regular flashcards now, we do vocabulary cards for math. Because everybody uses the term array when you see a set of something. Don't you always call it an array?
Never.
Never. But we have
That's
to teach
second grade.
our children, if we want to get our children away from their parents, we teach them words that their parents don't use, correct? And then the parents can't help them with the homework, and then the parents become inconsequential. Do I want to see a conspiracy behind every door? I can't help it when it's thrown in my face like this. So we don't ever worry about vocabulary words or vocabulary cards. The funny thing was the
Especially in math.
especially in math. The funniest one was the last one that and I don't know if I have it with me, where they, oh, by the way, this is second grade. Do you notice they're still using pictures?
Yeah, like kindergarten.
When are they going to grow up? I don't know. But I think we should be way beyond pictures at this point. We're 2 months into second grade. Let's move away from the pictures. If the children don't know that 4 frogs means 4, put them back in first grade.
But you'll also notice from Common Core that the problems or the numbers are not stacked. They are horizontal. You probably haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, no.
Everything's usually horizontal.
There we go.
Is that stacked?
No, this is 5 rows of 3.
Horizontal.
Horizontal.
Everything's horizontal.
Everything's horizontal.
When I was in school and you were in school, we would stack because we
Yes.
would count up.
Right. And we're also introducing, use repeated addition to solve, because I always use repeated addition. Marco has 4 fish tanks. Each tank has 10 fish. How many fish does Marco have in all? So you're going to count 4 10 times, or you're going to count 10 4 times. That would be repeated addition. And I looked at my son and I said, that's called multiplication. Do 4 times 10, and I showed him on a scrap piece of paper. Anytime you're multiplying by 10, you just simply add a 0 to the number. Oh, so he added the 0. And by doing that, he was able to come up with the answers, and no, he didn't have to do any work.
What is it doing for his teacher and his... She must be furious. Or is she not saying anything at this point?
She has a master's degree in reading, you know.
For math?
I don't know, but she has a master's degree in reading. I've heard that twice already.
Okay.
It's just, this is not traditional. Oh, yes, and don't forget, we're still using number lines. We're in
number
second
line.
grade, and we're still counting on number lines. because we can't just memorize facts.
No. We got to do exercises.
Yes, and then there's the spelling. Oh, you have no idea what we're going through. We have review words. We have current words. So we have 4 review words. We have 5 current words, and we have 5 trick words, and then we have a sentence.
Trick words. I never heard of a trick
A
word.
trick word is water. New, K-N-E-W. No, see that K and N, those are tricks. Day, I don't know what's tricky about day. A-Y says A. It's a phonics rule. There's nothing tricky about it. And month. You've got the
Day
T.
was the Y, perhaps.
But A-Y is a phonics
Right.
basic that you learn when you do. Oh, wait, we don't do phonics in our classroom. We do something called the Readers Writers Workshop. And we talk about foundations. I haven't seen the books, but you see in our schools, we no longer have a reading series. We have guided reading groups. So that level K is not kindergarten, as I was told by the teacher in the parent-teacher conference, who has a master's degree in reading, who should have known that K is actually the level, the beginning of 2nd grade.
Where is the...
So, but luckily, committee member Terrio mentioned that to me, and Assistant Superintendent Martin cleared that up. So while I was watching the school board meeting, I went and Googled it. But yes, I was given a paper that says to be considered on grade level, but in reading in December, your child must be reading at level K or above. Your child's last quote-unquote formal running record shows him or her reading on level K. In reading group, she is reading books at level K. All right, so he's where he's supposed to be.
That's the minimum standard.
That's the minimum standard for December, so he's already there. That's nice. But she said, well, he's not doing great in comprehension. I said, why are you testing him in comprehension? We just started reading. But see, Common Core starts comprehension questions in kindergarten. I don't know how you can comprehend something you cannot read. I guess they're comprehending what the teacher read to them. So I taught my son for 3 years with a traditional classical method, which introduced reading books on week 30 of a 36-week school year in 1st grade. So he's technically been reading for 4 months. And he's already at the 2nd grade level. Good on me. I did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
If he's
yeah.
only been reading for 4 months, he's already at the 2nd grade level.
Have you given him a standardized test yet? Like an academic test?
I haven't yet. With my husband being sick this summer, that's the time I would have done it.
It's not critical at this point.
And I know where he's at. His writing, he's not great at writing. He doesn't like to write. He's a boy, and he's 8. But we are on our 2nd page now of our reading log. Isn't it amazing? This is something I was thinking about. The teachers require us to list everything we read with our child so that they can see it. But Deb, I have no idea what she's reading with him because they don't have basal readers. They don't have their reading group level K. If you go to the Running Records website, runningrecords.com, and you look, there are a variety of books that are level K, including one on Barack Obama, and including more than half are informational texts.
Shouldn't it be on the Aspen system? We're hearing about this Aspen system communicating with parents.
I've got an Aspen password finally.
Tell me, we have 3 minutes left.
Oh, 3 minutes is never enough time.
No.
So, and I also want to remind parents that children have behavior charts now. Blue is like blue ribbon. Green is great. Yellow is, you're having some trouble, and red is terrible. You've had a bad day. Oops, I haven't been initialing them. You can tell how important I think these are. Sorry, not my job to be watching his behavior. That's their job. I'm paying her over $60,000 a year. She can monitor his behavior. But he did get a couple of blue days. But this is some of the extra stuff that when you're homeschooling, you don't worry about this.
No.
And if you're running a disciplined classroom, why do you need to worry about behavior charts in the morning and in the afternoon?
My kids were always great.
But in our public schools, they're wasting time on this. Take out your behavior log and
That's the
mark that.
skills. That's behavior is one of the skills that they're supposed to learn to measure up. So, not enough blues.
Not enough blues. Well,
Yeah, let's go on to
there's-
recess.
There's and then recess.
No recess.
There is no, and if for those of you who watched the meeting where recess was voted on yet again, there's been like 3 votes on it. Erica Connors very loudly shouted out no. And then after that, I went to the PTG meeting where Erica Connors also has a child in the 2nd grade in a different classroom at Green Acres. And at the end of the meeting, I said, oh, by the way, the school board voted that there will be a pilot school that will pilot outdoor morning recess. And what do you think about that? Every parent, except for Erica Connors, oh, are you kidding? That would be great. That would be fantastic. Let's do it. Hope we get it. So our principal knows that he's supposed to ask for it. Erica Connors voted no. I hope by the time this airs, I really hope we're going to have a new school board member in Ward 8.
Yes.
But our school board, is Christine Martin said that she was talking about yoga in class. Yoga is prayer postures for Buddhism. I have no desire to have my child doing yoga in class. No desire.
Refuse.
Yeah, so I would refuse that. But we're talking about recess.
Okay, that's a problem. We can get back to that.
Another day.
All right, kids' closet.
Kids' closet needs winter clothes. It needs snow pants. It needs boots. It needs warm coats, hats, mittens.
Where can they bring the supplies?
And supplies can be brought to the Belanger Allstate Insurance Office at the top of Hanover Street. And that's what they need. And any of our Title I schools need pencils, tissues, paper towels, hand sanitizer, crayons.
Wipes.
Yeah,
Lysol.
disinfecting wipes, yes. So bring those to any of one of our Title I schools. My classroom teacher said she doesn't need a thing.
Okay, I hope to see you next month or the month after for another update.
Okay, we'll talk.
Or the first of the year. Okay, thank you, folks. We'll see you next time on Our City Matters. Thank you, Patrice.